Hello, my name is Pastor Kris Kollar. I'm the pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm State Park and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We're reading through the Bible with commentary, and we are into a new book. We are up to the book of Ecclesiastes. Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes are all part of the wisdom literature, as is the Song of Solomon. And of course, Ecclesiastes is attributed to Solomon, but probably not actually by Solomon. Because if you are a scholar, a Jewish scholar, and you are trying to make a point, and you're trying to have people listen to you, then you either say that you're from David, which is praise, or you're from Solomon, which is wisdom. The scholars love to argue about when was it actually written. The chances are good it was not written by Solomon, but sometime significantly later, possibly even after the exile to Babylon and then back home again, which we heard about, or did we hear about yet? Esther, Nehemiah, yes. Esther, Job, yes. We heard about Nehemiah and Ezra when the Israelites, the Jewish people in particular, had been sent to Babylon and then came back and established the second temple. It is very likely that this was written either while in Babylon or when they came back from Babylon, although we don't know. We actually have no way of knowing. A couple of fancy words today. We're going to do some Hebrew. I did not get to take Hebrew when I was in seminary, but I did take some Hebrew in another place, and I know literally like 4 words of Hebrew. But I have lots of footnotes and lots of helpful information. So at the very beginning of chapter 1, we hear the words of the Qoheleth. The words of Qoheleth. In Hebrew, that's Qoheleth. Qoheleth. The words of Qoheleth. So traditionally that has been rendered as the preacher. In this version, it is rendered as the teacher. The idea that this person, Qoheleth, is collected some teachings that you should listen to. The son of David, king in Jerusalem. So the idea that this is a royal person, a descendant from David, who is very wise. So Solomon, or some other descendant further down that is somebody trying to teach you some wisdom. So very quickly we get into this word, and this translation is translated, vanity of vanities, says the teacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. So the word in Hebrew is hevel, Hevel. And hevel, like so many other Hebrew words, is not just this one meaning. It has sort of this broad meanings, but it's vapor, smoke, and often in this case translated vanity. The idea this is something you cannot grasp, something you cannot get a hold of, something you go chasing after, and you can chase after smoke. You're never going to be able to grab hold of smoke or vapor, or vanity in the sense, or vapor in the sense of you reach for it, you breathe it out, and it's gone. It does not last. It's all temporary. So this hevel is this kind of big word for vapor, smoke, things that don't last, vanity, things that you do in vain. As in vanity, I think in English, sometimes you can be like, oh, that person is very vain. They think very highly of themselves. But vanity has this other meaning in English, like there's no point. Why are you even trying to talk to that person? That's a exercise in vanity. They're never going to listen. They're never going to be able to respond. It's hopeless. So in this case, when it's translated vanity, it's on that line, not in the line of, oh, you think so highly of yourself, you're vain. There's an old Carly Simon song, "You're so vain, you probably think this song is about you." It's not that kind of vanity. It's the, what's the point? It's all useless and hopeless. It's a smoke. It's a vapor. It's a mirage. It's a dream within a dream. It's nothing you can grasp hold of. And that word is going to be used 38 times in the book of Ecclesiastes, which only has 12 chapters, and actually it gets used an awful lot of times just here in chapter 1, verse 2. So a couple of quick Hebrew. Qoheleth, translated as the preacher or the teacher, and hevel, translated as vanity, but also smoke, vapor, hopeless, dream, mirage, pointless, all of those kind of things wrapped together in hevel. And then I also, third thing I wanted to say before we really get into this is, once again, my gratitude to the Bible Project, which I went and I looked up the video from the Bible Project. Sure enough, they have a really cool video about the book of Ecclesiastes. And I should have been doing that for every single book, and I probably will do it for most of the books as we read forward through the rest of the Bible. I will probably look up most of the rest of the books to see if the Bible Project has done a video on them yet or not. And the videos are cool. They're like a cartoon drawing almost, but you watch it draw kind of thing, and it describes the format and the message of the book that they're going over. So if you ever are curious about a book, but you don't really want to go become a seminary student or go to the library and read huge amounts of information about a book, Bible Project, very good videos, very clear videos, easy to understand, super informative, and from what I can tell, extremely well researched and a really great visual way of understanding the format of the books. So I am indebted to the Bible Project for my understanding of Ecclesiastes, besides what I learned in seminary and as we read through it and what we understand for ourselves. So, and that also with the introduction within my study Bible, the book of Ecclesiastes does not have this huge structure. So some of the books, they're like, okay, it was this part, then this part, then this part, and I say this, and then it says this, and then it says this. There's less of that structure for the book of Ecclesiastes. There's a little bit of a beginning part where the narrator almost is saying, these are the words of the teacher or the preacher. And then that narrator again kind of says, you need to listen to the teacher. But those verses are very few. There's just a few at the beginning, a few at the end. The vast majority of the book of Ecclesiastes are the words of the teacher, Qoheleth, of the teacher or preacher, telling us that things are hevel. Things are not something you can grasp hold of. It's just chasing after the wind. Why are you even putting your hope into all of these things that don't last? None of them last at all. So the bulk of the thing talks about literally all these things that we can put our energy into, our career, pleasure. They're all going to pass. And life is not fair is definitely a theme of Ecclesiastes, that good people suffer and bad people sometimes seem to prosper, and we don't understand why, and it's all vanity because in the end we're all going to die anyway. So at the beginning there's a lot about time, and at the end there's a lot about death. So, and as a hospice chaplain, I advocate that we as humans, we as Americans, we should really count the days and know that our time is limited. And 100, 200 years from now, who will even remember that we existed? So what are we chasing after? What are we spending our time and our energy on? How should we be living in light of the fact that everything we do is temporary? Nothing is going to last. Eventually, it's all going to be gone. So how do we live in light of our mortality and the fact that all of us eventually go to meet Jesus, and the time that we spend here on this earth is limited? So that is a great big introduction, and the beginning of Ecclesiastes. I guess one last thing to say is that the first 11 verses are poetical. They're written in a poetical format, and then there's a few other places where it's kind of written like poetry, and a lot of places that are not. But we start with poetry. So Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 1 through 11, unless I stop. The words of Qoheleth, the words of the teacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the teacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. So Qoheleth says it's all hevel. It's all temporary vapor. Verse 3, what do people gain from all the toil at which they toil under the sun? A generation goes, a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hurries to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Round and round goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they continue to flow. All things are wearisome, more than one can express. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, or the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, see, this is new? It has already been in the ages before us. The people of long ago are not remembered, nor will there be any remembrance of people yet to come by those who come after them. So the first 11 verses of the book of Ecclesiastes talking about the idea that it's all vapor, it's all just gone, and the world keeps going. The sun comes up and goes down, the wind blows, the streams run to the sea, and everything keeps going regardless of us humans. The world continues on. And our eyes are not satisfied, ears are not filled. And on this great line, what has been is what will be. What has been done is what will be done. So there is nothing new under the sun. You may have heard that expression before. Here is where it comes from. There is nothing new under the sun. And yes, we have new technology, we have new computers, and we have AI nowadays, and there's new things. And yet, in some ways, what has been done, what is done is what has been done, will be done again. Creation of new things, creation of new products, creation of stuff, but it's still, we get up, we do our work, we eat, we have time with our friends, and yes, there's more technology, but life really isn't that very different than it ever has been. And this idea that people of long ago are not remembered, and we will not be remembered by the people who come after us. Verse 12, I, Qoheleth, I the teacher, when king over Israel and Jerusalem, applied my mind to seek and to search out by wisdom all that is done under heaven. It is an unhappy business that God has given to human beings to be busy with. I saw all the deeds that are done under the sun, and see, all is vanity and a chasing after the wind. And I really kind of love that expression, chasing after the wind. How do you explain what is hevel? What does that mean to be vapor, air, vanity? It's a chasing after the wind. Poetical, verse 15, what is crooked cannot be made straight. What is lacking cannot be counted. Verse 16, I said to myself, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before me, and my mind has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. And I applied my mind to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this also is but a chasing after the wind. For in much wisdom is much vexation, and those who increase knowledge increase sorrow. So we just read the entire book of Proverbs, and in the book of Proverbs, over and over again, we heard, go after wisdom, chase after wisdom. Don't be foolish, you want to be wise. And here at the very beginning of the book of Ecclesiastes, Qoheleth, the teacher, the preacher, says, even going after wisdom turns out to also be vanity, also turns out to be chasing after the wind, also is madness and folly. Because, why? Because in verse 18, for in much wisdom is much vexation, and those who increase knowledge increase sorrow. So sometimes if we're ignorant, we're happy. Was it blissful ignorance? Isn't that an expression? The idea that the less we know, sometimes the happier we are. And as this is being recorded, the politics in the United States are so bad that I've heard more than one person say, I just don't want to know. It's too overwhelming. It's too depressing. As we increase knowledge, we increase sorrow. And definitely as we increase wisdom, there is vexation. And I've been this whole week I've been kind of snarky. I'm like, why am I snarky? And it's because I know about, this is not politics, this is some other thing altogether. But the more I know, the more snarky I get. It's just frustrating. Vexation's I'm vexed. Sounds so British. I'm very vexed. But I'm just annoyed because of some things. And of course, the more I know, the more annoyed I feel. And that's not even news. That's not even politics. That's just my work situation for my hospice job sometimes can be like anything else. The more that we know, sometimes the more annoyed we can become. And if we just don't know anything, then blissful ignorance is a thing. So even going after wisdom is hevel. It's a vapor. It's chasing after the wind. It's frustrating and it's not anything you can grab hold of or keep hold of for a very long time. So I had put that I was going to do 2 chapters, and I'm already at 16 minutes. I don't know. Let's see. Chapter 2. I said to myself, come now, I will make a test of pleasure. Enjoy yourself. But again, this also was vanity. I said of laughter, it's mad, and of pleasure, what use is it? I searched with my mind how to cheer my body with wine, my mind still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, until I might see what was good for mortals to do under heaven during the few days of their life. I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made gardens and parks, and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. I bought male and female slaves, and had slaves who were born in my house. I also had great possession of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and of the provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and delights of the flesh, and many concubines. So this certainly sounds like Solomon. Again, probably written much later, but this certainly portrays, if not Solomon, somebody like Solomon who's got all the riches, all the pleasures, all the good things. Verse 9, so I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil that I had spent in doing it. And again, all was vanity and a chasing after the wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. So had every pleasure, had every good thing, and did a lot of work and enjoyed doing the work, and then said, for what? It's all hevel. Vanity is not just pride, it's this whole, what's the point? What's the use? It's all going to be gone eventually. Verse 12, so I turned to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the one do who comes after the king? Only what has already been done. Then I saw that wisdom excels folly as light excels darkness. The wise have eyes in their head, but fools walk in darkness. So wisdom is still better, according to this person. Yet I perceived that the same fate befalls all of them. So whether wise or foolish, we all end up in the same place. Verse 15, then I said to myself, what happens to the fool will happen to me also. Why then have I been so very wise? And I said to myself that this is also vanity. For there is no enduring remembrance of the wise or of fools, seeing that in the days to come all will have been long forgotten. How can the wise die just like fools? So I hated life, because what is done under the sun was grievous to me. For all is vanity, and a chasing after the wind. And this is not the end of chapter 2, but I am going to stop there because, well, except for no, I'm not going to stop there. Verse 18, I hated all my toil in which I had toiled under the sun, saying that I must leave it to those who come after me. And who knows whether they will be wise or foolish? Yet they will be master of all for which I have toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This also is a vanity. So Qoheleth, the writer, the preacher, the teacher, has said, allowed themselves every pleasure. So what? They did all kinds of work. So what? They tried to be wise. So what? They're going to end up in the same place as the foolish. And did all of this work, but everything that they worked for is going to go to somebody else, and maybe that other person is going to be wise or foolish, and in the long run, it's all going to be gone. Nobody's going to remember any of it. Anyway, it's all hevel. It's all a vapor. It's all vanity. Verse 20. So I turned and gave my heart up to despair concerning all the toil of my labors under the sun, because sometimes one who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave it all to be enjoyed by another who did not toil for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. What do mortals get from all the toil and strain with which they toil under the sun? For all their days are full of pain, and their work is a vexation. Even at night their minds do not rest. This also is vanity. So, do all this work, it gets left to somebody else who didn't even work for it, doesn't even appreciate it, and it just keeps me awake at night thinking about the work. Verse 24, there is nothing better for mortals than to eat and drink and find enjoyment in their toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God. For apart from God, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases God, so to the one who pleases him, God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he gives the work of gathering and heaping, only to give to the one who pleases God. This also is a vanity and chasing after the wind. So the idea that what's the point? It's all going to pass. It's all going to burn. Nothing's going to last. 100 years from now, who's even going to remember us? Everything we work for gets left to somebody else who might or might not even appreciate it, didn't work for it, and you're just working so hard and, tried pleasure, tried hedonism, tried work, tried wisdom, and in the end of chapter 2, it's nothing better than to eat and drink and find enjoyment in their work. What can we do? It's all going to go away anyway, but we can enjoy our food, we can enjoy our time with other people, we can enjoy the work that we do, knowing that the work is not going to last. If you work at a place, you are replaceable. All of us are replaceable. And 100 years from now, who even remembers? But that doesn't mean not to enjoy the work that we have. It doesn't mean not to enjoy the food that we have. But instead of chasing after it to appreciate it, this also is from the hand of God, because apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For the one who pleases him, God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy. So we need to work on pleasing God and enjoying the life that God gives us. And yes, there's hard things in life, but there's also beautiful things in life. And instead of chasing after those beautiful things, to enjoy the things we have. Don't spend all this energy trying to get more money, but to enjoy what you do have and the money that you have had, and not to work crazy, stupid hard, but to work. We all have work to do the work that we're called to do without becoming workaholics, without putting our entire value and our self-esteem, our self-concept, all of that stuff in our work, but to enjoy the work that God gives us to do and keep our self-identity and our value as a child of God, which I think I could talk a lot more about, but we're already at 25 minutes, and I think I will probably talk more about that in our next session. So, and that's also in our next session, the most famous part of Ecclesiastes, which is there is a time for every season. And of course, there's a great Simon and Garfunkel song, but we will hear that in our next session. And as I'm already over time, I don't know if I've got a lot more commentary to make, except for that life is definitely hard, and there are many things that we can chase after, and in the end, they're all, so what? It doesn't mean don't do anything, don't sit around and be despondent, to appreciate what God has given us, to accept the good with the bad, to enjoy the food we have, the work we have, the people that we have, and to look to God for our value and our purpose, and not our work, not our food, not our pleasure, not anything else, because all of it is hevel, this vapor, this chasing after the wind. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace, like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.